everyone, and welcome to the Strong Women, Strong Moms Tips for Living a Pain-Free Life. My name is Emily Dittenber, and I am your host for today's episode. If you are a runner, then today's information is just for you. In a previous video, I have discussed how having good running form can decrease the amount of stress placed on your joints and muscles. But today I wanted to delve into how increasing your running cadence can further reduce the loads placed on your body as you run, and how this can help decrease any pain development that you might be experiencing. So if you want to be a better runner, then stay tuned for today's episode. The first thing that I want to talk about today, though, is exactly what running cadence is. So your running cadence is the number of steps that you take every minute. You can determine what this is by taking a video of you running and then count how many steps you take over that 1 minute time frame, or you can always count how many steps you take over 15 seconds and then multiply that by 4, and that too will give you your running cadence. There's a lot of literature that suggests that a running cadence of 180 steps per minute is kind of that ideal running cadence. However, I think there's a lot of variability in the human body, where for some people that might be too fast, but then for other people that might be too slow. So depending on who you are, this 180 steps per minute may or may not be the best rate for you. So just keep that in mind. What I think is important is that you do determine what your running cadence is. And then if you are experiencing some pain or difficulty with running, try increasing your cadence by just 5 to 10% of what you have been running at. So rather than just shooting for that 180 mark, find what's kind of your unique cadence with that 5 to 10% added on there, and then give that a shot and see how it goes. Interestingly, there is some literature that suggests that the cadence of 180 steps per minute might be how the body is biologically set up to be successful there. So there was a study that discussed how the natural resonant frequency of the muscle tendon unit is about 3 hertz. So when you think of how that unit, that muscle tendon unit, goes through a vibration when a force is applied to it, that means that it takes about 1/3 of a second for it to go through one vibration there. So when you look at the gait cycle, and if you have a gait cycle that is 1/3 of a second long, so kind of that vibration time frame there, that results in a cadence of 180 steps per minute. So maybe our body is biologically set up to succeed at that cadence. But again, I think there's a lot of variability between people as well in regard to their tissue flexibility, where this can vary as well. So I just found that interesting though. So if you do too, drop your thoughts in the comments below. All right, so let's get into how exactly increasing your cadence can help reduce the impact on your joints. So you can kind of see in this picture here that my foot is way out in front of me. So I'm taking kind of longer, slower strides. So by increasing my running cadence, when I make that first contact with the ground right there, my foot is going to be more underneath my body. And that's actually going to result in reduced ground reaction forces. So that force that the ground puts on me to match the force I'm putting on it there, there's less of that up and down force there. So that means that my muscles don't have to work as hard to counteract that force and then to continue pushing me forward. And this is a really important part of running there, because 80% of the energy that you put into running is actually to overcome those ground reaction forces and to continue propelling you forward there. So if you can reduce the amount of energy that you have to put into keeping yourself upright to overcome those ground reaction forces, that's going to help you not be quite as fatigued as you run, because you have more energy to put into pushing yourself forward there. So that's kind of just interesting to note. In regard to how increasing your cadence affects your foot, it's interesting because a study showed that when you are able to take shorter and quicker steps, the amount of force that's placed on your heel is actually reduced by about 565 of your body weights every mile. Think of that, 565 of your body weights every mile. You took that force off of that heel there just by shortening your strides as you run. And then you took about 140 to 170 body weights of force off the front of your foot there as you run as well. And that's even with running more steps every mile. So that's kind of interesting. So if you've been experiencing some foot pain, running with those shorter, quicker steps can help reduce the amount of stress that is being placed on the tissue of your feet and can potentially help with pain there. In regard to the knee, increasing your running cadence can actually reduce the amount of compressive forces that are being placed on the back side of your kneecap. So knee pain is probably the most common injury that runners will experience. So if you can significantly reduce the amount of stress being placed around the knee there, that can really help reduce any knee pain that you might be having there. You can also change how your hip is moving by increasing the number of steps that you take every minute there. So you'll actually see less of a force on the hip where it's being kind of pulled under you or turned inwards. And this is important because your glute muscles have to try to stabilize the hips so that they aren't turning inwards. And so if you can reduce the amount of stress being placed on those glute muscles, then you're going to be able to use them more to help propel you forward there. Again, helping reduce fatigue in those muscles. And then finally, increasing your running cadence can reduce the amount of compression that you might be experiencing in your low back region. So you can see that just by increasing the number of steps that you take per minute by just 5 to 10%, can make some pretty significant changes in the stress that's being placed on your body as you run. So if you have been experiencing some pain or discomfort with running, just see if increasing your running cadence can help you out, because naturally you're going to be able to run with better form there, and it'll help reduce some of the fatigue of those supportive muscles, and that'll help them be able to keep you with good running form for longer throughout your run. So try it. Let me know how it goes in the comments. Make sure you subscribe to my channel, and I hope that this video added value to your life. Thanks, guys.